Hey everybody, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the MotoFab 2-inch front leveling kit fitting 2003 to 2024 Toyota 4Runners without the X-Re-S system. If you're planning to add some larger wheels and tires, or if you just want to even out the stance of your 4Runner and maintain a factory ride, a kit like this one from MotoFab is going to be just what you're after. This is a simple, effective, and inexpensive way to get your 4Runner a little bit of extra height and give it that nice even stance that you're after. Now before we get into the nitty-gritty though, I would like to reiterate that this kit is not compatible with 4Runners that have the X-Re-S suspension system. Like most body-on-frame trucks and SUVs, 4Runners come from the factory with a bit of a forward rake to them. Now if you're not familiar with that term, rake refers to the angle at which a vehicle sits if you're looking at it dead on from the side. So with a 4Runner, like most trucks, you'll notice that the front end tends to sit a bit lower than the rear in stock Ford. Now that's kind of cool if you like that old school dragster muscle car look, but let's be honest, if you're driving a 4Runner, you're probably looking to do some off-roading and you want to add some more clearance for larger wheels and tires. This is a way to do exactly that. It's going to even out the stance of your truck, and it's going to give you a little bit of extra room to fit some larger wheels and tires without going whole hog on a full lift kit. Now raising the front end will also result in a better approach angle and better overall ground clearance. And while it may not be a whole lot in this case, overall this will make a pretty big difference. So what we're looking at here is a pair of spacers. Now these are going to insert on top of your front struts, and that's where you're going to get that 2 inches of extra lift. So this will of course end up leveling out the stance of your truck. So having this on there is going to allow you to comfortably run some beefy 31-inch tires without other modifications, as you can see on our truck here. Now 32s can also fit in most instances, and you can even squeeze on some 33s depending on your wheel offset. However, those will both require you to do some more trimming or additional modifications in order to avoid rubbing. So for that reason, we recommend sticking with 31-inch tires for this kit. Now the spacers themselves are only going to measure just over an inch in physical height, but it's important to remember that this is not a 1-to-1 ratio. Now geometry was not my best subject in school, so I'm not going to try and explain all the facets of suspension geometry here, but just know that these are still going to get you that 2 inches of extra lift up front. And since these go right on top of your front struts too, you don't have to worry about messing around with springs or spring compressors either, making for a pretty straightforward installation. Obviously, spacers are a simple thing, but it's important that they are done right because of where they mount. These are made from CNC machined billet aluminum, and they've got this textured black powder coat finish over top to help keep everything protected against rust and corrosion. And they're gonna blend in. Unless you're really looking for them, you're not gonna see them on your truck. And unlike polyurethane spacers, these metal ones are less likely to wear out, and they're gonna stand up better to abuse because there are no welds or seams or anything on them like you might find with a fabricated set of spacers. And that's also good news if you plan on taking your truck off-road, because they're just gonna be a lot more solid and they should last you much, much longer. The good news continues when we talk about the price. This kit is gonna come in at just about $75, which is a great value. Anything that adds a functional element to your vehicle for $100 or less is well worth it in my book. And these are gonna make an improvement to both the look and capability of your vehicle without much sacrifice. So for under $100, you really can't go wrong here. About the only thing you'll need to sacrifice, in fact, is some time. We're gonna give these a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and this is a job that you can accomplish at home in around 2 hours. Now, the reason it gets a 2 out of 3 and that 2-hour time frame is that it is gonna require that you remove some bits out of the wheel well to gain access to the front struts. Overall though, this is not a hard process. You really just need to take your front strut out, bolt this on, and then put the whole thing right back in and tighten it up. Just remember though that once you've got everything bolted back together, you should plan on getting an alignment done since you are going to be changing around the front end suspension geometry. So your 4Runner may not track entirely straight once you mount these up. So just plan on getting an alignment once you've got it done. With all that said though, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the installation process.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, an extension, 10, 14, 17, and 19 millimeter sockets, a 19 mil swivel socket, clip removal tool, 14 and 19 millimeter wrenches, 17 millimeter ratchet wrench, needle nose pliers, various size pry bars, a bungee cord, and a hammer, and also not shown here is a jack and jack stands. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a leveling kit on our 4Runner, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a short video on how to remove your factory suspension, and we'll see you when you get back.
So the first thing we're going to do is disconnect our brake line brackets. The one on the upper control arm is a 10 millimeter bolt, whereas the one in the knuckle is a 12. So I've got my 10mm socket to start on the upper control arm, so let's get that out. So first we'll get our upper control arm bracket. So we'll take that 10mm socket to remove this bolt. Then we can pop our bracket out of the way, throw our bolt back, and then we'll switch to our 12mm socket for the brake line bracket and our knuckle. And then same thing, pop that out of the way and thread our bolt back in. Next we can remove the 18mm nut holding our sway bar end link in. So we'll grab an 18mm socket to pop that off. Next we can disconnect our tie rod end. So we'll grab a pair of needle nose pliers to bend back our cotter pin. Next we can take our 19mm socket to remove our nut. Next we can grab a hammer to tap on the side of the knuckle here to break our ball joint free. Now once we get this to pop free, we can remove our nut and get our tie rod end off to the side. Next we can loosen up our lower strut mount. So we'll grab a 19mm socket for our nut side and a 19mm wrench for our bolt side to loosen that up. Next we can disconnect our upper control arm ball joint from our knuckle. So grab a pair of needle nose pliers for our cotter pin, and then we can grab our 19mm socket to loosen up our nut. And now with our nut loosened up, we can do the same thing where we're smacking the side of the knuckle. Make sure you leave that nut on so your whole knuckle doesn't go flying once it pops free. And then we'll just pull down on our upper control arm and fully remove our castle nut. Next we can come to the top of our strut tower and remove our 3 nuts. So we'll take a 14mm ratcheting wrench to do so. I'm going to end up leaving this nut on there hand tight until we're ready to remove our strut. Now at this point you can repeat that entire process on the other side because we do need to be able to move our sway bar to get our strut out. Next we can remove our lower strut bolt. And then we can go back up top and remove that nut. And then we can pull our sway bar up and out of the way. And then once you have your strut out on one side, you can do that same thing on the other side.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we have our factory strut out, we can go ahead and install our spacer. So what we're gonna do, grab our strut, face it straight up like so. Then we're gonna line our mounting holes up with our factory studs, and we're going to go ahead and use our factory 14mm nuts to secure our spacer to the top of our strut here. We'll go ahead and get all of these started. We're just going to grab our 14mm socket and extension on our impact to tighten these down. And then as far as mounting goes, it's going to be pretty much a 180-degree turn on your strut to line the new mounting holes up where the factory ones were. So if it was like this from the factory, you have the single mounting stud directly behind it. I'm going to go ahead and flip that directly forward. That's going to put the rest of the mounting holes in the proper place to reinstall this. Now we'll go ahead and again pick our sway bar up so we can get our strut right back up into place here. We're gonna have to work our lower control arm down just a hair in order to get this into place. Want to be mindful of your axle, but you can push down on it. Now once we have our bottom strut mount in position in its little bracket there, we can go ahead and install our top nuts, then we'll go ahead and get our bottom mounting bolt in place. Now we'll go ahead and get our first one started, and that is the most important thing. Once you get your first one started, like so, we can pivot off that one and get our other two on. Now we'll go ahead and get all three of our mounting bolts loosely in place. Not going to fully tighten them just yet. So now we'll get our bottom strut mounting bolt back in place. So we're going to grab our small pry bar again. We'll just come under the bottom mount here, just slightly push down on our lower control arm so we can get it lined up. Then we can go ahead and reinstall our factory washer and nut. Go ahead and run that down hand tight. Now we'll go ahead and get our upper control arm ball joint back into our knuckle. So we'll go ahead and pull this castle nut back off. We're gonna take our knuckle, swing it back forward here like so. Now you will need a pry bar for this because with the higher height of the strut, it's going to be more difficult to get your control arm back down. We'll give it a head start here. Make sure we have a good lock at pry bar. Go ahead and get that through. Get our castle nut started. I'll hold it back in place. Then we'll go ahead and grab our 19 mil swivel socket again and tighten back down our castle nut. You want to make sure you get it to a point where you can put your cotter pin back through. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall our cotter pin. So now we'll go ahead and tighten back down our lower strut mounting bolt using our 19 millimeter wrench and 19 mil socket and extension on our impact. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall our outer tie rod. Get that line back up. We'll have to work that a little bit, but it'll go through, and then we'll reinstall our 19 mil castle nut. Now we'll go ahead and tighten that back down with our 19 mil socket on our impact. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall our brake line bracket using that 10 millimeter bolt. And we'll tighten that back down using our 10 mil socket. Now we'll go ahead and tighten down our strut mounting bolts using our 17 millimeter ratcheting wrench. So now once you have everything done up to this point on this side, you want to go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side before you reinstall your sway bar, because it's going to need to get moved around on the other side as well to do what you need to do. So once you have all that done, you can go ahead and grab that 17 millimeter nut, line your sway bar back up to your knuckle, go ahead and reinstall that, tighten that back down with our 17 mil socket. And we can go ahead and reinstall our little flap here. Make sure our other side is on as well. Then once you have this done, you want to refer to your manufacturer torque spec for all of your hardware and double check that, as well as going to get an alignment after having this completed. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our MotoFab 2-inch front leveling kit for your 03 to current 4Runner without X-Reas system. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything 4Runner, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.